right, hi everyone. You guys know me from LSD. I'm Maria Palmer, but today we have two special guests. We have Joe and Maral, and they're here from the Las Vegas community, well, from the Armenian community, and they're going to explain a little bit about what's going on in the world now. So many people have things confused. They don't really know exactly what the story is, so they're here to clarify that for us. So I welcome you too, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very happy to be here today.
So I would love for you guys to just go ahead and just start letting us know what you feel, what your opinions are, and just explain to us, the people that don't know and understand what's
Well,
happening.
I will just say that the reason why we're here is because we're not getting the media coverage that we need, which is very unfortunate. Armenians are being bombed in Artsakh right now, and we have been sharing information as much as we can on our Facebook pages, Instagram, any social media platform that you can possibly imagine, because the news is not covering it. They're covering it very minimally, and it's the sad part about it. So we are very scared that we're going to be in the middle of another genocide, which is we'll go over that a little bit too. And
Yeah, absolutely. Like Maral said, obviously the lack of media coverage has been difficult, and one of the main focuses of all our protests and everything else going on in the Armenian diaspora all over the world. Literally numerous cities and states and countries around the world are all standing up and protesting about what's going on. And to be clear, what's going on is basically there's a region that's a separatist republic outside of Armenia that falls into the borders of what is considered Azerbaijan. But the 99% of the people that live in that region are from Armenian heritage. And 30 years ago, after the Soviet Union broke up, that region fell into the borders of Azerbaijan, because before it was all Soviet Union, but at that time, every country had its clear borders. But again, all the people in that region were Armenian, and they decided that they wanted to be a part of Armenia. They didn't want to be a part of Azerbaijan. And there was a war that claimed over 30,000 lives and people being displaced in the early 90s. And since that time, it has been a very tense situation. Since then, there's always been little spurts of conflict, and there's always been deaths on both sides. But for the most part, we haven't really had a full-blown war, except, in 2016, there was another little 4-day war, they called it. But it was only a 4-day conflict. Right now, we're already going on over 2 weeks. I actually was in Armenia for 30 days, and I literally got back on the 26th of September, and I went to sleep and woke up and found out that we had been bombed at 5 a.m. our time in the middle of a pandemic. So on the 27th, the attack started. And the fact of the matter is that if you look at the map, it very clearly shows, Armenia is a very small country. We only have 3 million people population that actually live in the country of Armenia, with only 150,000 living in the Artsakh region, which is the name that region has been called for thousands of years. And so basically, between Azerbaijan having about 9 million people, they also have the backing of Turkey, which has really been one of the bigger issues for us, and really one of the things that we're trying to get NATO and the government here. And that's why when Maral was talking about the media attention, is because a country like Turkey that has 90 million people and is also considered one of the largest and strongest militaries in the world, they're the ones who really gave Azerbaijan the kind of okay. They gave him the backing. They gave him the comfortableness of saying, we're basically going to stand behind your back in this. Do whatever you guys have to do. So that's, they started bombing regions all over the Artsakh region and started claiming civilian lives right from day one. And so since that day, we've been doing everything and anything we can to bring the attention to the matter, obviously, because Turkey is a NATO ally. And so that being said, we've been trying to get pressure. We've been very blessed. France and a couple other countries around the world have really voiced their opinions on it. But we haven't really got the United States yet to really jump in and say something. And that's really our goal.
Yeah. And honestly, Artsakh was never really part of Azerbaijan. You would say that. It was they claim it, but it was never really a part of it.
Well, yeah,
The
if I can
govern-
just
yeah,
touch on that
yeah.
for a quick second, that's a really good point. So
Yeah.
I want to be clear on that part too, and
Right.
I'm really glad that you brought that up. So I talked about the fact that it was ethnically, 90% Armenian or 99% Armenian in that area. The way that those borders happened was in the early 1900s, actually, after the First World War. Joseph Stalin, which was a horrible, horrible human being, and claimed the lives of so many people, was the ruler of the Soviet Union at the time. He's the one who drew out those borders. And that's how Artsakh, which Maral is saying, was never really, that's how it just happened to be with Joseph Stalin's border drawing,
Literally.
abilities. That's how it ended up falling in Azerbaijan's borders. But to be clear, I have a list that I could really go off. I'm not going to spend time going over
Yeah.
that, but I can tell you that the first monastery, Christian country, obviously we all know the Armenians are the first Christians in the world. We adopted Christianity as our country's religion in 301 AD. And again, that's, 4th century. And so there's actually a monastery in Artsakh that was built in the 4th century. Besides for that one monastery in the 4th century, there's literally, I can almost name 200 different religious places that literally have been built for centuries and centuries. I mean, literally the whole time leading up till today. So the question is that if historically that land is supposed to be Azerbaijan, which is a Muslim country, why would there be so many Christian monasteries and churches and everything to go along with that? So the fact is that after Joseph Stalin gave him that land, that's how it ended up being Azerbaijan. I mean, to be clear, we kind of say it like as a joke almost to a certain degree, but we say Coca-Cola is older than Azerbaijan, and that's the truth.
They only became independent in what, 1918?
1918.
Yeah.
1918 was the first time that there was a country called Azerbaijan that existed in the world. Prior to that, there weren't. They, to be clear, they are from a Turkish descent. So they consider themselves, even if you look at their flag, it's basically like a variation of the Turkish flag. They consider themselves to be Turks. That's why, they consider themselves brother, sister countries. But again, there was no Azerbaijan. But Armenia has literally been around for,
Yeah, Artsakh has had Armenians there since 100 BC. I don't even know how far that is. That's like it's
like 3,000
That's how
years.
old it is.
Yeah.
That is how old it is.
Yeah.
And so because Stallion made this little promise, they held on to it. Well, guess what? He's no longer around. It is not their land. Period.
The fact is that, there's actually parts of, Armenia has a very, the Armenian kingdom that, that has been around for thousands and thousands of years. Yerevan, the city of Yerevan just celebrated its 2800 birthday or whatever, anniversary, just a few years ago. And, the kingdom of Armenia used to go from the Black Sea to the Caspian Sea. And now it's a very small, landlocked country. And that's what's so difficult for us, because Azerbaijan also got that land that was given to them by Stalin. Well, they have oil as well. So they have oil. They have a port, because Baku is right on the ocean. It's right on the Caspian Sea. And so, we've had a rough go at it. And the fact is that, our lands have been taken from us from the beginning of time. Ararat, which is the most well-known mountain, sacred mountain. It's one of the most popular Armenian names, and it's the mountain that they believe that they found Noah's Ark on and stuff from satellite views, falls into modern-day Turkey. I'm not going to go so far into that, because I know that's not really what we're here to talk about. We really want to talk about the conflict that's taking place today. Right. And basically, we like to consider unprovoked attacks. And the problem is that because they are a dictatorship, Aliyev, who is their dictator, has basically controlled the media in any way that you would, when you're herding a blind sheep kind of situation. He shut down all the media, the social media, and they have like closed television, so they're telling their people whatever they want them to hear. So unfortunately, we can do only so much as far as letting the country know, but our goal is to get the rest of the world to wake up and see what's happening to us.
Also, it's really important to understand, I know you had mentioned how many people are in Turkey, but in Azerbaijan, we said 100, I mean, I'm sorry, in Artsakh, there's only 150,000 people in Artsakh. That's it. Wow. In Azerbaijan, which is the country that is bombing them, there's almost 10 million people in that country, and the country right next to them, which is Turkey, and Turkey is funding and supporting Azerbaijan 100% in this these bombing attacks with drones and everything. There's 82 or almost 90 million in that country. We're talking about a little area of 150,000 people, and again, I want to kind of explain where Artsakh is so that people kind of understand. So last year I went to Armenia for the first time ever. There is a reason for that, and I will explain that too. When I did go to Armenia, when we went to Yerevan, it was an amazing experience because I've been hearing about it my whole entire life. I am 100% Armenian, by the way. Okay. Never been to Armenia my whole entire life. And Artsakh is about, I want to say, about a 6-hour drive from the city of Yerevan. So it's more of a country, right? It's like further away, and it's right next to Azerbaijan. But when I went there, I knew it was Armenia still. I didn't feel like I wasn't in Armenia. Not only was it governed, funded, occupied by Armenians, I didn't see anything but Armenians there. And it was mind-boggling to me because I did hear about the history. We were with a wonderful tour guide who's been going there. And people, Armenia is a very well-traveled place. Mm-hmm. It's a tourist place now. And she was telling us about the history, and I couldn't wrap my mind around it the whole time I was there. I'm like, this is Armenia. That's all I kept thinking the whole time I was there. How come there's a discussion about this? Why is there a dispute? And of course, the bombings hadn't happened yet. And it is so like Turkey to use the pandemic as an advantage right now.
So what was she saying?
Just exactly about the history, just everything that he just explained about the entire history of Artsakh, and how it, even though Armenians live there, Azerbaijan, they feel like they have some claim to it, which is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, great. I mean, when you go there and you see the culture, you go to those monasteries, you eat the food, you interact with the people, you go to the museums that are Armenian museums about Armenian history. It is very clear this is Armenian land. I mean, you're witnessing it. The Armenian flag. And so that's what's so shocking to me. And then when you see it in the media, for people who don't understand, when they see it in the media, they are being led to believe that Azerbaijan must have some kind of feeling of ownership to this piece of land. And that to me is very misleading. So why am I so angry? I think that's really the question you should ask me, right? Why are Armenians so angry right now? Mm-hmm. Yesterday, there were, 150,000 Armenians that marched in LA. There's a reason for that. Armenians we're pissed. Since the day I was born, I knew about the Armenian genocide in 1915. I just knew. I don't even remember when it was communicated to me that the Armenian genocide happened, because I literally think my mother told me the day I was born. and I told you that I haven't been to Armenia, right? The first time I went to Armenia was last year. Well, but I am Armenian, and I feel it in my soul. Yeah. And I'm passionate about that. And the reason why that my family is not from directly from Armenia, the reason why my parents were born in Lebanon, Beirut, Lebanon, is because of the genocide. There's 11 million Armenians all over the world. We are called the diaspora. It is a direct result of what happened to Armenians from the 1915 genocide. This is why Armenians are so upset, because every year we commemorate what happened to us. 1.5 million Armenians were massacred under the Turkish government back then. We were just talking about Mount Ararat. He mentioned it. That was our mountain. So long story short, we will not let history repeat itself. And every year, all we do is commemorate the genocide to say that it will not repeat itself, which, by the way, happened during World War One. Okay, again, a very it's like it's very calculated. You know, it's during a war to massacre and I mean, I hate to use these words, but this is what happened. I mean, women were raped, churches were burnt, children were. My grandfather's, my great grandmother's son was cut by the head in front of her face. I mean, these are stories I knew when I was a child. You know, there's a reason why my grandfather never knew his mother, and was. I'm getting the goosebumps talking about this because these are stories that are so embedded in all of us. And I'm talking about those 11 million people around the world, which we call the diaspora. My grandfather was raised by a woman who took him and said, I will raise you as my child because my child was taken from me during the Armenian genocide, and I don't have a child and you don't have a mother. Wow. That was those are my ancestors. And I know almost every single Armenian, I shouldn't even say almost, like 99.9% of every Armenian that I know has a story like that. And that's why we're outraged right now, because it's happening again in front of us. During a pandemic, they're attacking this tiny little ancient country. And people are turning a blind eye to it, and there's silence in the media. And that's why we have to keep talking about it over and over and over again. We have to start creating content, and Armenians are doing that. Armenians are sharing as much content as they can, creating content like we are right now. We have to keep doing that in order to create awareness.
No, this is great. There's a lot that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
so
you know,
it's deep, it's personal.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
And, and I mean, the whole issue isn't funny, but it was funny when she was talking about it. I was thinking literally in my head, and then she ended up saying it was every Armenian has a story like that, and I'm glad that she touched on that. You know, I mean, everybody, like I said, I mean, my great grandmother, she was orphaned at 9 years old. They killed her parents and her brothers and sisters. She was literally left alone, all in front of her. They beheaded them. And when I say they, we mean the Turkish government at the time. And what she's talking about is really important because that is exactly what we're afraid of. I mean, we've been commemorating it. We've been saying, we've been commemorating with the hopes that history will not repeat itself. And unfortunately, it's quite possible that's what's happening again. And again, the world is turning a blind eye, but this time they have a diaspora to deal with that they didn't have to deal with that time, you know? Even at that time, I mean, it's unfortunate, but, I start to get emotional when I talk about it because I can't believe that I'm living this today after seeing what, my grandparents, everything they always told me growing up, and the stories about their families and where they came from. It's unfortunate, but the truth is that when you look at the Holocaust, which is everybody agrees was wrong, and what Hitler did in the 40s during the World War II time, when it is very well documented that he definitely said in a speech when people as advisors asked him, I mean, how do you plan on eradicating the world of Jewish people? I mean, how could that happen? How could you literally do that? You can exterminate a whole culture, a whole race. And he says, well, look at the Armenians. I mean, look what happened to the Armenians. I mean, who cares? No one said anything then. And so that right there was that set the path and for the understanding that that's what happens when you turn a blind eye. People think that they can get away with it. And that's what we've always been trying to shed light on by doing all these commemorations every year, because the fact is that maybe if the world would have paid more attention in the early 1900s, and maybe if the world would have stood up and did what we're asking them to do now, maybe what happened to the Jewish people in the 1940s wouldn't have happened.
We've been saying that for years. We've been saying that. And now, again, it's about to happen, and everyone's just being silent about it. And, just to be really fair, though, I do think that Facebook is doing something with their algorithms or something, because I will post stuff like, are you guys seeing my posts? Because I'm going crazy. A lot of Armenians are going crazy. They're posting every day, like a million times a day. Our ancestors did not have social media, but we do. My recommendation, though, is to create video content because Facebook favors video and it'll put it in the feed. Also, live videos. Guess what you can do with live Facebook videos? You can start watch parties. So we need to start like using content and controlling in a way, because you can't sponsor content when it's political because they'll flag it. They won't let you. Trust me, I already tried. So, so what is really important, if I could drive anything home today to Armenians listening and non-Armenians who really want to help create awareness, create video content. I don't care if it's a minute, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and who cares what you look like? You know how easy it is to pick up your phone and press the live button? It takes 2 seconds. I don't care, just pick up the phone and pick up your phone and put the camera on and say, guys, have you guys heard what's going on with Armenia? Hey, I posted a link on my Facebook page with an article, or whatever you want to say. Just help us create awareness. And we can't let what happened in the past happen again. That's the bottom line.
The awareness part about it is like, as you know, obviously being a person that, is a part of the Armenian community here. I don't really like to get into the details of, a leader, whatever, this and that. But I mean, we are, like she said, every Armenian is so passionate about what's going on. And literally we got back, like I said, within a week, we here in the Las Vegas community have raised well over $600,000 just for the war efforts and really the rebuilding. And there's already so many people displaced. All the people that are from Artsakh, my cousin over there, they rented out a whole hotel, and for families. And when I say families, I don't mean men, women, and their children. I mean women and their children, because the men have stayed back to fight. And so they're displaced. They have 80 families at one hotel. They got to feed them. Armenia is not a wealthy country, once again, because, like I said, we are landlocked. We don't have oil. In general, it's not considered a wealthy nation. We got together here in Vegas. We went on the Strip. We did a protest. Within 24 hours, we were able to get over 500 people to show up. 2 days later, I think maybe you were there, I guess, the day we did a drive on the Strip as well. I couldn't believe how many cars showed up.
It was a lot.
And, we were able to get the news to cover our protest and stuff like that. And we are planning another one. Just FYI, I was just on the phone with one of the leaders of the community today, and we're actually, this time around, we're really hoping that we're going to have a few, not just one, probably a few politicians present, which I think will really help drive the message home, in the sense that I think we'll be able to get broader media coverage, hopefully from all the networks, because it is an election year here in the United States. And so I'm hoping that these politicians are going to try to earn the Armenian vote to a certain degree and show up. But we have had, they have voiced a lot of support for us, but not publicly. And that's what we're really trying to accomplish.
And I think we're paying attention right now about who is bringing up the genocide and who isn't. That's all I will say about that.
For the next next event that you're talking about.
Sure.
Are you going to be posting that?
I always do. Yeah,
okay.
I always I go on the Armenian Union, again, social media. I put it on my personal page, and it gets shared pretty quickly, and we seem to round up. We round up pretty quickly, but going back to what we were talking about in the actual region, one of the problems is that, again, it's the outside involvement, and that's what's really bothering us. Like, for instance, it's already been proven that there was F-16 fighter jets that were bombing and were a part of the skirmishes that's been going on, and we know that Azerbaijan doesn't have it. They were Turkish pilots that were flying those planes, and that's the problem, because if it was just Armenia against Azerbaijan, even though they might have more people, even though they might be richer, it's a little bit more of what we call a fair fight. But now it's really truly becoming one of those David versus Goliath type situations, because no one seems to be standing up again, because people are afraid of World War III, and I hope it doesn't get to that. But there's handwriting on the wall that alerts to the fact that it could go to that, because if Turkey ends up doing that, because Turkey has not just been gumming at Armenia or they've been really flexing their political muscles all around that region. Their dream, the truth of it is they want
Conquer.
Asia to be theirs. They still have that conquering type mentality. And, even like that's the funny thing, right? Is that when you look at it, tells you how bad of a country Turkey really might be when, like I said, we're the first Christians in the world. We're landlocked. And Turkey being a Muslim country, Iran being a Muslim country, Iran has publicly stated support for Armenia, sent troops to the border, and said whenever Armenia lets us know, we're ready. And so it just goes to show you that the Turkish mentality has definitely taken its toll, and they have problems with Greece, Cyprus, and the list goes on.
I will say that there are Turkish people, I am sure of this, that are inside that government that don't want to be where they are right now. I do want to speak on that fact because Armenians, we have a heart. We're not evil people. And we understand that there are people in that government, in the government of Azerbaijan as well, that people don't want to be where they are right now. And I would even encourage those people to speak up. And to be honest, it's kind of crazy. Like, my entire family, like I said, has been, and my friends and everyone, all the Armenians that I know have been posting and communicating. And one of my cousins received a lot of messages, private, secret messages from people in Turkey and Azerbaijan saying, I'll read you one of them. It literally, she posted it. I was in shock when I saw it. It said like, "Hi, I'm writing to you from Turkey, and still many people living in Turkey love you Armenians and are with you." So what I want to point out is that, they can also be a voice for us. They're under an awful government, and I hope that those people in there can also be a voice for us and get up and stand against their own government. I know it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. Yeah. I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I'm just saying,
that has to be pretty scary though.
It's
for them,
scary.
Right?
It's very, I'm not trying to like downplay it at all. I really don't want to do that. But what I'm trying to say is that, I know that there must be people there that don't want to be in that situation.
Well,
there must be.
Look, when you said, do I agree with you? I mean,
yeah.
As far as, do I agree with you about the people? Yeah, I do actually. And, since you alerted to that, I'll touch on it real quick. When I brought up my great grandmother that was orphaned at 9 years old. So think about it. She's an orphan. She has nobody. Well, what happened actually? I mean, the truth is a Turkish family took her in.
Right.
And they're the ones who took her in and then got her out of the country. So that's how she survived, was because of a Turkish family. So I want to be clear, our problem isn't necessarily the ethnicity or the race. Our problem is the government, right? Yeah. It's the Turkish government that we have an issue with. And that's why, I agree with you. But the problem is that the governments that are in place there, the reason what I don't think can happen, what she was saying would be great, is because they have more of like a gag rule type mentality, right? I mean, they will literally kill them. So it's not like, this is dictatorship we're talking about. These are not, this isn't America where it's a freedom of speech type situation.
Look, I don't want to come off as naive. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because I want the rest of the world to understand, like, Americans don't really get it, what's happening. Not all Americans, but like, it's hard for people in the middle of a pandemic and everything that's going on in the U.S. right now to look at our situation and really get it. So I want them to get the history, the governments, like, it's not an easy situation. So I just.
No, I think they took advantage of that. And
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
That's one of the big things. I think they took advantage of the situation that the world is so preoccupied with everything going on. I mean, literally, you got the elections going on. You got the coronavirus. You got the pandemic going on. The economies are down all over the world. So, people are preoccupied with everything that's going on in their own lives right now. If everything else was perfect and something like this happened, it would be outrage.
Completely. I really believe that it would be a completely different situation because everyone wouldn't be so preoccupied.
All right, it's like catching somebody off guard type thing.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
Absolutely, they took full advantage of the situation, and we've already got over at least I want to say 500 at least I want to call them children because that's the tough part. Our army,
They're
our
like
military.
18 and 19-year-olds.
We're at church and the priest was reading off their names. We had a requiem last week, and literally, like, my eyes shut up. We were with tears because I was listening to the names, and it was like 18, 19, 18, 19, 18. I'm like, these are kids. They
They're
have their whole
kids.
lives ahead of them, and
They
it's just
haven't
sad.
even been alive long enough to even understand the genocide. Like, they just,
Right.
it's insane. It's really disturbing.
When
Really.
you were speaking of, you said your cousin in regards to a hotel to help.
Yeah.
Definitely that information. We would love to get that from you so we could see,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we
Yeah,
can put that
it's,
out there.
yeah. I can get more information to the guys. It's Mane Hotel. It's in Newark, which is an area in Yerevan. And like I said, they have over 80 families, and I have a lot of people there. I mean, everyone's doing everything they can. I mean, that's the one thing about Armenians is, like, we might not be huge, but whenever we're at risk, we come together.
Loyalty is huge.
Yes.
and,
Huge, yeah.
Like I said, I mean, just in what we've been seeing around LA and in Vegas, we're doing as much as we can do with what we have, and
Also, donations to the Armenian Fund .org, and it's really easy. ArmeniaFund.org. Trying to raise as much money. Also, a lot of people don't know this. I don't know if you know of some organizations, but there are organizations, smaller ones, that are matching. So, like, if someone raises some money, the corporation that's helping them, for example, or a small business owner will match it. If you see, if anyone sees, she probably should share some of those links too. There's the Armenian Report. Her name is Anna. She used to be on TMZ. I really like her because her name is Anna Kachikian. She's sharing some of those donation links. And what her point was, try to donate to those because they're matching them. And then that money can go to the,
and AGBU is one of those.
Yeah.
The Armenian General Benevolent Union.
Yeah.
Right. I'm on the board of directors here in Las Vegas for that organization as well, and I know they're matching. So
Okay.
we raised 150 over this last weekend, and today's Monday, and then just they made it 300. So, but she's right. I was really going to go on to I'm glad she touched on that because that was really where I wanted to go to is like the press and the media and the awareness that we're trying to spread is very important. But quite frankly, nothing is more important than the funding because unfortunately, again, we are not a rich country. We don't have a lot of funds. Our military is not superior in any means, and so really funding is a key. So if any amount, I mean, and I've been posting it, and I've had a few American friends, and obviously Armenians in general, when they first meet us, they don't know really who we are necessarily or where we're at on the map, but I mean, we definitely all make a point to show people what type of people we are. So once you've met us, we create friends around the world, and so we've been lucky. We have had a lot of help. We raised over $30 million just Saturday. It was an online telethon. Kardashians,
That's amazing.
the
That's
Kardashians,
amazing.
Kim and her.
We
two
have to
sisters.
bring up the
Well,
Kardashians.
no, I mean, give them credit where
Hey,
credit's due,
no,
no,
right?
I know,
And,
I'm kidding.
just
Of course,
between the three
yes.
sisters,
No.
they donated $3 million.
Yeah, I mean,
each
if
one
they
$1
want to
million
donate
or
more, we'll be okay with
something.
that
Of
too.
course, but it's definitely a good
No,
start.
that's
Yeah, it is.
amazing.
No, it
that's
is.
good.
I'm very grateful for it. I thank God that there are that we do have Armenians that are celebrities, so that they can create more awareness too.
Sure.
It's amazing. I did.
Serena Williams got out there and said
Yeah,
something, right?
she's
Because
married to an Armenian,
the
yeah.
guy who started Reddit, right?
Yeah.
Ohanyan, and then you got
We got Cher. Did Cher say
Yeah,
anything?
Cher was on there
Okay.
too. I was just gonna say
Okay.
Cher was out there.
A
and
lot of people don't know that she's Armenian.
Andre Agassi's father
Yeah.
came to our
Very
church and
nice.
donated at our church. She's Armenian as
See,
well.
for the ones that can't donate big money, at least that adds
Yeah.
up.
Any- Right.
Everything adds up. And
Yes.
That's something that people don't think about. Everything adds up. So
Also, I want to
to
point out that a lot of this money is going to be used to rebuilding. So there's a video that I would love to kind of show you guys. So I told you last year I was in Armenia. I don't know if you had a chance to visit this church that we went to in Artsakh. This is a beautiful, beautiful church. It's called
Lazan Chetsot.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it is so gorgeous. Look at it. And this was last year, only 1 year ago. Okay, and my mother was talking to me as we were walking in the video, and she was telling me that a beautiful bride was inside and to wish her happiness. And actually took a picture of that bride. I have it. It breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. I hope that bride is okay and she's safe and her family's okay. And yeah. And so that church, this is just one example of how they need money to rebuild it. See what happened? They bombed it. So it's incredible. I mean, just seeing that picture horrifies me. You know, it's,
sad.
yeah.
How old is that church?
It was built in 1868. So that's just
God,
evidence, right?
beautiful,
That's an
yeah.
Armenian church that was built in
19th century.
It's crazy.
Before Azerbaijan existed.
Yes.
Once again, let me be clear on
Evidence that they're trying to destroy.
that. Yeah.
So there was a room down there too that was amazing. It, like you go down there and apparently like monks had created this room. I don't know. They went down there and kind of communicated to each other. And I'm a singer, so I felt like I was inside a microphone when I was in that room.
Wow.
So I was trying to sing something when I was down there. It was such a weird. It was an amazing experience being down there. But I heard, we're going to play it right now. Yeah, that's the room. You can't hear me singing right now, but
That's awesome. The windows.
oh
how
my
that-
God. Literally, I'm not joking. I felt like I was inside a microphone. And
The acoustics. Were
yes, they were amazing. So I heard there were kids hiding down there. Yeah, and this breaks my heart. You know, that was only 1 year ago. So yeah, the money is being used to rebuild. We have, you know, Armenians, we will survive. We will survive this because, like you had mentioned, the diaspora around the world, there was no diaspora in 1915. We are not letting this happen, people. We're 11 million strong around the world, and we are not letting it happen. So watch out.
Definitely. Just in that protest on the boulevard, it was,
Yeah.
you could feel it. No, you
Yeah,
could
and that's
feel it.
here.
You
I mean,
felt
can you
it.
imagine? I almost want to go to, after I saw yesterday what I did, I almost wanted to drive to LA
couldn't
just to be a
believe it.
part of that. I mean, 150,000 people. You know, imagine
Yeah.
150,000 people and not one incident. That's a key factor, too, I want to
That's-
bring up. You know, these are peaceful protests. Just like when we had the Velvet Revolution in Armenia in 2018. I mean, they literally changed governments and there was no bloodshed. I mean, and so, like I said, we're really just right at this point. We're doing a lot around the community here, and the ANCA and Armenian Assembly. I mean, they're doing as much as they can on the White House front. I mean, there's resolutions. See, one of the other problems I want to bring up, actually, I'm glad that we're kind of touching on this, is that not only are we trying to get them to stop the war or give recognition or whatever, but if I'm not mistaken, and I can verify this exact number, but if I'm not mistaken, the American government gives Azerbaijan, Baku, which is their capital, $100 million in military aid every year. And that's what we're really trying to stop,
And
right?
it's been happening
so
for a
America,
very
the
long
United
time.
States of America is giving
Yeah.
$100 million to that country that has oil, that has ports. And so that's
We
one of the
could
things.
just stop doing that.
And for example, like, you know, she talked a little bit about it, I think, earlier, but I'm going to touch on this because we're really talking about the war right now. And well, that's another one of the problems is that, you know, we're getting a lot of support actually from it, as far as boisterous support locally and around the United States lately from the Jewish community because it was brought to light that the Azerbaijani military was using these kamikaze drones that were Israeli made. So basically Israel was selling artillery to Azerbaijan. And that's what they think, like, the irony of it is that the grandkids of the grandfathers of the first genocide
Right.
are now being killed by a country that's getting weapons from the grandkids of the people who were killed in the Holocaust, right? Did I
The
say that
irony,
right?
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And so that's what's so odd about it, right? I mean, you would think that. So we've been shedding light on stuff like that, and we're hoping that that's what will, the consciousness will, you know, people's conscious will start to take over because it's not just all about money, right? I mean, and so we're trying to get Israel to stop selling weapons to them. We're trying to get the United States to stop sending military aid to Azerbaijan, and we have a few resolutions on the table at Congress that we're trying to get passed through. One of them being that of the Azerbaijan, but there's other ones as well. For instance, one thing that Azerbaijan right now is using as their claim to justify this war, and what I really want to point is that we need to get Artsakh recognized as an independent republic. If it was recognized around the world as an independent republic already, and the borders that it has, because once again, it doesn't have any borders with Armenia as well. Right? If I'm not mistaken, we don't have any border. Artsakh is totally separate, right?
Oh, it is. But we, there was officials there. Like when I went there, I had to. Are you talking about that when you enter the country?
What I'm saying is, it could be an independent republic. It doesn't even.
Exactly.
It has its own closed borders, right?
Right.
And so that's part of the reason that we want. Yeah. Because Azerbaijan's saying, hey, we're not going on Armenia's recognized land. We're going on our own recognized land. So, but the fact is that the people that are living in those lands, again, are Armenian heritage of thousands of years. And that's the problem. So we need to get Artsakh recognized as its own independent region, and that might help fix the problem in itself.
Oh, it definitely will. I mean, there will be no argument. That's what I couldn't wrap my mind around when I was there. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I'm like, what? How come the rest of the world doesn't recognize what I'm actually seeing with my own eyes right now? And I felt that being a weight of a problem in my heart. And it's crazy. And now I'm seeing it and I'm going, oh my God, I get it now. That's why.
Yeah.
So they can kind of have some claim to something that doesn't even belong to them.
Yeah. All right. So with everything you're saying, which is a lot, and it's amazing, and it's definitely cleared up a lot for me, someone who didn't really understand, I've seen little clips here and there, but still wasn't saying everything you guys said. What do you want people to take away from you guys?
For me, first of all, to understand what's happening. So I hope that people have some education now, and they can say, okay, you know what? Now let's help Armenians create awareness. That's so important. And donations. That's really important. So creating awareness, the education part, we just gave it to you. There's more stuff online. Vice just created a video. It's a short one. I think it's only like 4 minutes long. Go on YouTube, look up stuff. There are so many things that have been created to educate you. Hopefully we've done a good job here today. Then try to donate if you can. Anything helps. $1 helps. Anything. And then please help us by spreading the message about what's happening. And if you have any questions and you don't know, contact me directly. I don't mind answering them for you. If I don't have the answer, I promise I will find out the answer. And you can find me on social media as Maral, Maral, and Vegas. Maral Vegas. That's my tag.
Okay.
Yeah, and she really touched on it. I mean, for me, literally, if I could ask anything, if there's anybody out there listening that is willing to try to help out our cause at all, there's only 3 things I can really ask for. Number 1 is to contact your political representatives. Please shed some light on this to them. Let them keep an eye on what's going on in the Caucasus region. That would be my first thing. Second, again, like she said, right now it's just fundraising. I hope it doesn't go to war efforts. I really hope it goes to rebuilding, like she said. But unfortunately, we're not even to that point yet. If you're talking about rebuilding, we don't even know what's going to happen yet. We are outnumbered. So please, any type of fundraising, any little bit will help. And basically, like I said, other than that, is just to, like she said, is just to spread as much information and make sure that they're not getting falsified information, because once again, they're trying to make the aggressors into the aggressies. And what I mean by that is, like, we are a small, little, landlocked country with 3 million people, and we are surrounded by over 90 million people that take up massive space. Both have ports, both have superior artillery, and they're trying to make it seem like they're spreading information that we attacked first or whatever. I mean, why would we attack? I mean, there was no point to that, right? I mean, we already have the region, so.
Right. I'm sorry to cut you off. I was going to say, we have been saying over and over and over again that if Azerbaijan stops bombing, we will put our weapons down.
Well, yesterday.
Technically,
Well,
yeah.
no, you're exactly right. And you know,
Oh,
yesterday.
the ceasefire. Is that what?
Yeah, well, there was
Yeah.
a ceasefire that was, literally they had, so they could get their dead soldiers. Both countries
Right,
could
they,
supposedly
because
get them.
no, but Azerbaijan and Turkey are, they are violating war crimes. They're in violation. So they.
Well, the cluster ammunition
Yeah.
is being used and stuff like that, and that's what I was talking about, which is the kamikaze drones with cluster ammunition. I mean, they're war crimes. They're not supposed to be used, and we want to shed light on all of this. That's why I was saying just like the awareness. But yesterday I was watching a program from Armenia, actually, the TV, and they were interviewing these military personnel, and like she said, the fact is they all want the war to stop.
Right.
But I mean, their backs against the wall. They don't have a choice. They have to fight. So, just gotta pray for the best.
I was gonna say I think it was 2 days ago, right? The ceasefire with Moscow. Azerbaijan was supposed to cease fire by a certain time. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was midnight. Armenia. So they didn't. They kept going, and then they said, "Oh, we thought it was Moscow time." Whatever. But they're still firing right now. There was a temporary ceasefire that was actually agreed upon. They had an 11-hour conversation with Moscow, and they agreed that they would cease fire, and they didn't, and they're still firing.
They lasted an hour. They stopped for an hour. It was supposed to be for I don't remember the exact.
I think a couple of days they were supposed to
something
stop.
like that. So they had time to kind of reset,
Right.
and they literally waited an hour.
So they're not.
We weren't prepared for that.
We need more people involved. That's what we really need.
But we appreciate the platform, and we thank you for having us
Absolutely.
on today.
No, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. It's very important. And again, you cleared up so much for me. Just someone who didn't know, and I have friends that are Armenian that I care a lot about. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come here. So
Thank you for your
yeah,
support.
I really appreciate you. So thank you for interviewing us and taking the time to talk about it, because that's also what we need.
And we'll get that other information out there too. And
Thank you.
hopefully let's raise a bunch of money.
Yeah,
really appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Take
guys.
care. Thank you.